You guys have asked, so here it is. This is the review of Timberdoodle's preschool curriculum kit, the elite version. It's a couple years old, but I'll talk about the differences. Hi guys, I'm Kathleen Lewis. I'm a homeschool graduate and a homeschool mom to two. I used this kit with my 4-year-old son when he was 2, and now I'm pulling out some pieces to use with my 2-year-old as well. So I love this kit. I love what Timberdoodle does with the younger years in particularly. So let me just jump into it. Let's cover their methodology first. Timberdoodle is really well known for their focus on hands-on learning. They're not a curricular publisher in themselves. What they do is go out there and source all sorts of different things, pull it together for you in a kit, and then give you a handy-dandy handbook as a guide to how to utilize it. So a lot of their picks are really, really good. I have some issues with a couple of them. And then there's also a business component to it where they've chosen some things that are a little bit more expensive than they need to be, probably because they're looking for higher quality and most people have the standard things. So I'll cover all of that as I get through all the elements. Before we get into everything in the kit, let me cover my fast facts as usual. First up, how much does it cost? It is extremely pricey. I have the Elite kit here and there's some more stuff over here. But the fact that you get boxes like this, which are pricey in and of itself, this kit will cost you anywhere from $400 to over $1,000, depending on the elements you choose. Timberdoodle's kits come in 3 levels: basic, complete, and elite. In my honest opinion, elite is too much. I would always suggest you either go with basic or complete and then customize from there, pulling some things even from the elite if you want that. There is a caveat with this one in particularly. It's reusable almost completely except for a couple of the workbooks, which I'll show you in a minute. So there is that cost saving. I don't have to go out and buy all of this again for my second kit. Second question, who is this kit best for? Probably someone that has a little bit more to spend based on the cost. This is also very hands-on. So if you have a kid that needs something very hands-on, which is going to be most kids for the early years, then this is the kit for you. Timberdoodle keeps the hands-on component as much as possible up into the older years, so that's always something fun. You will not see built-in book choices here. So if you want literature-based or curriculum with a lot of books, this will not be the kit for you. They do have a reading challenge in the handbook with over 3,000 book ideas. I have opinions on that, so stick around to hear my opinions about that. Ultimately, I think with the price tag and all the various components in here and the great plan for you teaching your kid is going to work best for a newer parent. So someone who doesn't have a whole lot of stuff on hand for their kids already. This could also be, in its pared down version, a good way for you to have older kids teaching or playing with your younger kids. So say you're busy with teaching your first grader how to read. This would be a good thing for your second grader to come alongside your preschooler and do some of these things with them to keep them occupied while you're busy. Okay, third question. How much time does this involve? It depends. It's completely customizable to your needs. If you get the basic kit, it will not have as much time needs as the complete or the elite kit. I think on average, parents say they spend 20 minutes a day on this kit. I would say it's completely reasonable to spend an hour spread out throughout the day, depending on how often you want to do some of these things. Fourth question, what type of learner is this best for? Kinesthetic, definitely. A little bit of auditory, not so much as it's not so literature based, but there is a small component, and this is obviously great for the visual learners as well. Fifth question, how easy is this to use and implement? It is overwhelming when you open the kit, but if you approach it in 2 buckets, there is the play bucket, because there's a ton of play components here, and then a sit down at the table and learn bucket. It's a little bit easier to manage. And then from there, just acknowledge that you probably would work best with this kit from a weekly checklist rather than a schedule. So let's do math 3 days this week and just check it off whenever you get to it, as opposed to something more formal and structured. Sixth question, are there any cons? Yes, there are. Obviously, the price is a huge con. This is way out of the budget for most people out there who have several kids. If, however, you take the perspective that this is replacing paid childcare or private education, it is reasonable considering that. A second con is there is no focus on good literature and building vocabulary. As I said, in here there's a list of 3,000 plus books and a learning challenge and a reading challenge encouraging you to read your child. They're very good about encouraging you to read and tell you the importance of it. But 3,000 books is overwhelming. Plus, in my opinion, they do not choose high quality literature. There's a lot of character type books in there. So yeah, this is one of my big disappointments here, that they don't have a pretty good classic or even fun literature list that is usable and accessible to most parents. I have a third con here, and that is too much focus on the fancy art rather than the classic preschool stuff. So I mentioned earlier, I think this is maybe a business decision. People weren't buying basic stuff. I don't know. I was not here back in the 90s when they were originally developing these kits. But the art kits that they have within each of the curriculum kits are going to be expensive and higher end and not what you would expect a typical preschooler to do. There's no finger painting in here. There's no typical cut and paste type activities. It's all within workbooks, all within expensive kits. So in my opinion, it would have been better served for them to include a book of here is 50 classic art activities to do with your preschooler, but they chose not to go that route. Final question, is this good for a gifted kid? Yes, with some caveats, of course. So this right here, I used with my son when he was 18 months old. I put that with the Tiny Tots curriculum kit. He loved it then. This kit over here, he was using before he was 2, and I think he aged into the pre-K kit that they have when he was 2.5. That went with a lot of the stuff here. So I bought this when he was 2, and he kind of aged out of it between 2.5 and 3 years old. Some of the physical stuff, he was still working on developmentally, obviously, but interest, yeah, I needed to get the pre-K kit for him when he was 3. So just be aware of that. Again, you'll have to adjust based on your own kid because each gifted kid is different. Your gifted kids, especially if they're profoundly gifted, may not work well with half of this material when they're in preschool just because cognitively they're beyond this stage. Okay, before I get into the pieces, let me show you inside the handbook. Okay, so each kit comes with the handbook. My edition is from 2021 to 2022, so it is a little bit older kit. In here, the contents have some great tips in the beginning, which you'll want to read to understand the handbook. And then this right here is the most useful, I think, in planning your week and your year. So it tells you everything in the kit, and you can just mark off what you got and what you didn't, because this was the full elite kit. And then tells you what you can expect to do per week. So as you can see, sometimes it says 2 pages per week. Sometimes it says once a week. This says at least twice a month or as desired. So it is entirely up to you and your kid. You have the weekly checklist here, which you can print off and use. There's an online scheduler you can use as well. And then, of course, they have the reading challenge and why it's so important to read. But then in the kits, they have everything you bought, explaining how to use it, explaining how to schedule it, and gives you some, basically this is the teacher's guide, and how to use everything, as well as some tips. Towards the back in this particular kit for Plus Plus, which is one of the manipulatives toys that you can use, they have extra building ideas that did not come in the kit. I think this is lame though, because the colors here do not match what comes with the kit. There are more yellows in this picture than there are available in the box they sent me. So I don't think this right here is useful at all. And then at the back of the book, they have the reading challenge and different theme ideas for each book. And then they give you the giant list of books to read, which is over 3,000 books. And again, in my opinion, overwhelming and not as easily accessible. And I don't think the good quality books are as easily found from this giant list as they would be from a better curated list. Okay, let's get into the fun details of what's in this kit. The first section they have is language. So for language, they have you get these workbooks, these Gawkin workbooks. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit because there's another set of 3 that they use in thinking skills. 5 workbooks is too much. This is from the Elite kit, and my son and I got through 2.5 before he got a little bit bored with it. So it may not be that way for every kid, but 5 workbooks I think is overkill, particularly when they're all doing the same kind of thing. Having said that, these are excellent workbooks. In fact, I like them so much that I decided to use the ones that I didn't use with my son with my daughter. So the alphabet one, I'll show you inside. It is cut and paste. It is coloring, so you're supposed to color the mane for the lion. You're supposed to cut, on this page, cut the koalas out and paste it in here. You're using your finger to draw the letters here. As you talk about them, you can color the rest of the picture in on several pages. There's some stickers in here. These are the kind of activities in here, and it's very fun and age appropriate for preschooler. So this is for ages 2, and then they have one for age 3 as well. Again, same kind of activities, stickers, coloring, cutting and pasting. So this would be a great appropriate use of a workbook at this age. Since I was talking about the other set you could get, let me go ahead and show you inside some of this. This one's a lot of tracing, which again is very age appropriate for the kids. Teaching pencil control, crayon control via fun mazes and tracing that the kids can do. Another one in here, as I said, is cutting and pasting. There's some more tracing in here. There's folding. There we go. They folded on the dotted line, and now they're chicks inside the egg, and then they can open and have the chick hatch. Stickers you can put in here. So a lot of fun, age appropriate, yes, but you don't need all 5 of the books in my opinion. Since we're on the topic of workbooks, I'm going to show you something that they had in the original kit that they took out, but I still think these are great. These are Kumin's Let's Color, Let's Cut Paper, Let's Fold, and there's another Let's Cut Paper. This is along the same lines of what I was showing you in the other books. The Let's Color has a little shape that the kids are supposed to color in. The Let's Cut Paper has simple things like cutting whiskers on the sea otter or small lines and on the dogs here to something more complicated towards the end where it is a vine of roses that they cut out and then can play with as climbing up something. And the Let's Fold starts out with some very basic, let's fold things in half. And then towards the end, you again have fun things like this where it's a frog and then it opens up to an alligator. My son really enjoyed the cutting and the folding books so much that I got them for my daughter. And the coloring, not so much, but my daughter's gonna love that one, so I got that book for her as well. I think in the new kit, there's another Kumon book. So yeah, that would be a good choice as well. Or if you want to add something in, go check these out. Also part of language is they have a set of 4 Wimble books. I'm missing 2 of mine. They're in the house somewhere. The kids love them, so I can't find them. But these are fun spreads, kind of along the lines of Where's Waldo, except you're not actually looking for Waldo. Instead, you have a very busy picture with a lot going on. But the purpose here is for you to sit there and say, oh, look at that man. He is nailing patches onto the roof. Or look, there's the dad pulling the kid in the wagon here. Or, oh, there goes the mailman. So there's on the farm, there's the fire trucks. This one my son was particularly obsessed with. There's a lot of funny stuff in here. And as you're talking about what's going on, it not only is building your child's language with all the different things you're pointing out, but it helps them with visual discrimination, because then you can go around and say, can you find the Dalmatian? And so they're looking in the picture and they finally see the Dalmatian relieving himself. Or this was one way my son really enjoyed this. Each of these things at the beginning here is on every single page. So you can try to find the reporters in every single spread, and that's where you get the Where's Waldo version of it. In the newer kit, there's something that is a fun magnetic way of practicing tracing of letters. I love it. I would definitely buy this if I were to get the kit again. And actually, I might consider it for the summer as something extra to give my daughter if she's looking interested in learning how to hold a pencil. Okay, let's move on to math. Math with Timberdoodle comes in this and this. This is their core math. Now, in the more recent version, they added a few more things. There's a game which looks like a lot of fun. I was looking for stuff from that company, so I would say if you're wanting to teach math through games, that Batawaf would be a great idea. There's also a sticker book in here, which stickers are always great, age appropriate, but again, just use your budget as a guide. I think it does look fun. But for the main part with math, I'm going to do a separate video for this, reviewing this, because it is beyond the scope of this video to adequately cover what's involved. This is from the Critical Thinking Company. It is a standalone preschool math workbook style. So it starts off with learning colors and shapes and curved lines, and then teaches counting, I think, through at least half of the book. The child's not expected to know it, but they spend most of the book on colors and counting, and then there's some fun things, some fun puzzles. Let me see if I can find an example. Like this, a Can You Find Me page. We look like a green parade, from tiny seed we were made. In the sun we look fine, all four of us in a line. So the child is then supposed to listen to that riddle and figure out 4 things grown from a seed in a line in the sun. So this is the picture you're talking about. My son loved these riddles. He also loved the patterning and figuring out what's behind the screen. Most of the rest of the book was extremely boring to him because he knew how to count when we did it. And it is duplicating what's in here. So check out this video. I'm going to link it right here so you can see more about the details of this. But this right here also uses these counters. So it is very hands-on version of math as opposed to the workbook that they have there. If you've been enjoying this video so far, be sure to bump that like button and let me know it. I'm gonna take a chocolate break in the meantime. Okay, next section is thinking skills. Timberdoodle's really well known for pushing critical thinking and logic type activities in STEM. This game right here, they include in their thinking skills. And to be honest, I think it's a major flop. They could have chosen a much better game for logic, for communicative play, for teaching colors. Basically, there's 3 games in here. There is Jenga style, which they can do with normal blocks. There is essentially a Candyland type thing where you line up all the blocks and then roll the dice involved to move the animal along the color. And then there's the hiding the animal underneath the box. My son liked this game. This one was boring, and then the stacking, yeah. So I think this was a big waste of money. Plus, I have an issue with the die. This die right here has a hole in it because it's kind of a squeaky, squishy type thing. So it's weighted against this side, which is not an issue with the colors, but when you're trying to do the animal version, you'll never land on the chick. It's just not going to happen unless you force it to. So the weight in these is wrong and they mess up the games. So that's my other complaint with it. For thinking skills, they have this other book from the Critical Thinking Company. Again, it actually is basically mathematical thinking. So in the beginning, they start with identifying colors and then shapes, doing riddles, just like in the other book, talking about curved lines. In my opinion, this is a duplicate of this. So choose one of these, and if I were to choose, I'd probably choose this one because the math in here is probably better taught in another way. Having said that, if you're a person who wants workbook style math and not hands-on manipulative based math, then definitely go with this, because this is a powerful and robust program. I'm just biased against workbooks at this early age. Next with thinking skills is this game. This is a huge hit in my house. I think Timberdoodle did a great choice here. I love Smart Games Company and all the games they make. So this is a game that has these sticks that the child is going to use, and then there's a puzzle card here. The child is supposed to look at the puzzle and see, oh, orange goes on this stick right here, and then on top of that goes green, and then the other green circle. And that completes that section of the puzzle. And they're supposed to do it for every stick right there. And then the more advanced version is just the silhouette. So they have to figure out from the silhouette which piece the puzzle is required of. My son loved this. He advanced quickly through it because he was gifted and his brain's just wired that way. My daughter enjoyed doing it with me. She hasn't quite caught on yet. But yeah, I would say this is a big win for our family. I mentioned these earlier, but these are included in thinking skills. And again, just pick and choose which books, because all the workbooks in here are a little bit too much. The last three things in thinking skills, I don't have. One of them could come with the kit that I bought, but I chose not to get the sticker book because we had other sticker books. The other things, I think it's again overkill with the amount of choices, particularly logic games. You already have a logic game, the day and night one, which is a great choice. So this other game, I would say skip it. It's redundant, it's extra, it's just something else that's going to stress you out. The little match and card holder, again, skip it. It's another logic thing that your child doesn't need. It's covered plenty with everything else that they have here. Okay, social studies. So for social studies, they have this puzzle, which I can understand why they put it here, but it is a puzzle. It is a floor puzzle, 25 pieces, so it may be a little bit challenging for most early preschoolers. 3 or 4-year-olds probably could do this easily by themselves. But the reason Timberdoodle put it in here is so you can talk about all of the different pictures on the world map here, and the child can start getting familiar with the world map via play. So a good choice for them, but my son did not use it as much because he was just obsessed with the actual atlas. So yeah, your choice, whether you want to use this puzzle or another puzzle at your house. The other thing they have categorized in social studies, which I think is a misnomer, this is both language and it is math. The Usborne Big Book of Things to Spot. So in this book, there are 4 separate Usborne books, the 1001 books. They have 4 of them in here. The first one is Animals to Spot. So on the page is a spread of a scene. There's different habitats in here. There's the farm, there's the desert. Let's go with the rainforest to talk about. So there's this beautifully colored and artistically done spread of the rainforest. And then on the side, there's a list of animals. So Timberdoodle thinks you should talk about the habitat here. I think this is actually a great vocabulary builder because you're naming each animal and asking your child to find it in the picture. So this is visual discrimination. Again, a thinking, a logic type thing, trying to figure out where it is hidden in the picture. Once your child's ready, you can start counting. So there's 8 toucans in here. See if you can find all of them. So in the beginning, you can have the child point and then you'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then later on the child can start counting as they find them. So yes, I would say this is a huge hit in our house. My son loved it, my daughter's loving it. There's the animal version, and then there's the 1001 Things to Spot in the farm. So it's different sections of a farm. And then there's the 1001 Things to Spot around town. So town park, traffic jam, fishing port, country village. This looks like someplace in the continent in Africa. I'm not sure exactly where. And then at the end, there's 1001 Things to Spot around the world, which is history. So you have the Mesopotamian market, Pharaoh's court, an Incan farm. This would be great as you get into kindergarten. So yes, you can still count things you see in this picture, but I would say that section could be really useful for social studies as they get a little bit older. So if you have not figured out already, I would say this is one of the must-haves from this kit. Even if you don't buy this kit, go out and get this book from Usborne. Okay, science. And I think this is probably one of the top 5 things in this kit, in my son's opinion. The Learning Resources Preschool Lab Kit. So in this kit, there's a whole bunch of lab equipment. There's a magnifying glass, there's glasses, there's test tubes with lids, there's a pipette, a flask. So there's a lot of fun stuff in here. The kit is accompanied with these color fizzes. So this would be a replacement for food dye. That is stains a little bit more. This doesn't stain as much, so I like that they put these in here. And then also in it is a whole bunch of science cards. You can do a science experiment to clean a penny, check out insects from your yard, sprout some seeds, figure out what sinks and what floats. This is by far every kid's favorite, color mixing. I think we repeated this experiment more than any of the other ones. So this is a huge hit with my son, and from what I've heard, any person who buys this kit raves about the science right here. The great thing about this kit is you can do all the experiments over and over and over again, and it basically uses household supplies too, so it's cheap. The color fizzes, you will have to get extras if you use all of them, which we're very close to doing that. But yeah, I would say this is a big win. Okay, STEM, and this is probably my son's favorite section of this kit. So first thing they have is plus plus. It is a building type material. It is literally 2 pieces that you can put together in multiple different ways, make 3D or 2D patterns. The kit comes with an idea book, idea guide for building various things. Honestly, there's not that many in here. And my son, while he enjoyed building with this, it was not his favorite. He preferred these 2 back here. So if I were to tell you to nick something in this kit, it would be the plus plus. Some kids love it. There's huge series, huge lines. There's this tiny one you can get in small tubes, but ultimately my son did not attach onto it as much as he did the other 2 things here. So let's pull those out. Okay, this right here is the Duplo replacement. It is theoretically compatible with Duplo blocks, but these blocks, instead of just having a top and a bottom that you can connect to, there's multiple sides. So we have 2 flat sides, an open sides, and then 3 sides with bumps. You have the more traditional blocks like this. And then you have blocks that are triangles as well. More parts of the system include things like this, so you can attach things. And it comes with a great instruction book for the kids, idea book. So you can start with building a traditional tower. You can build dogs. You can build a magic wand. Stephen really enjoyed building the helicopter here, but I think he was most addicted to building this train, which unfortunately was not engineered completely perfectly because it would fall out when he started to play with it, but he would obsessively build this one. There's also other loose leaf ideas in here, including the rocket, which was instrumental in starting his love of astronomy. He would build this while he listened to Brian Floca's Moonshot book, and yeah, I have a fun video about him building that. But yeah, this is, I think, above and beyond what you could do with Duplos, and it is easily accessible for those early hands if they're not quite ready to move on to Legos, but cognitively they want to start building more than just straight up and downs. This is a great kit. It is expensive though. If you have a kid that's oriented to building stuff, I think this would be a really great investment, especially because it will give you a lot of free time as they do this by themselves without your needing to step in and get involved. The other set here is GeoMart, which is essentially a magnet tile. It's not compatible with magnet tiles. I think it's geomagnets that they're compatible with. So magnet tiles are compatible with Picasso tiles. These are compatible with geomagnets, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, so double check me. But within this set, you have the traditional squares, you have triangles, you have pentagons and hexagons, you have your rectangles, you have rhombuses, so you have a whole bunch of different shapes. Plus, you have other accessories that you can use to build vehicles and other strange and weird things. My son's come up with a lot of interesting things. And then from there you have a handy dandy instruction booklet. So in the beginning of the booklet you have a picture, and then your child can then match the shape to each element in the picture. The instruction booklet moves on from there though. Later in the book it gives you a little bit more guidance on how to build without giving explicit instructions on how they all work together. So a little bit more puzzling aspect there. Then they start showing you how to build from 2D to 3D. And then they have more ideas of more exotic type things to build. My son, when he was 18 months old, got addicted to this. My daughter, since she's been, I think, 1, has been addicted to this. At first, the kids just have fun with small portions, figuring out how the magnets come apart. Then my daughter's latest thing is matching shapes. So she is very familiar with triangles versus squares because she builds stacks of these things. And then from there, your kid can just develop with their imagination and their skills. So yes, this is extremely expensive. I think, if I remember right, it's almost $300, but don't quote me on that. But it's kept my kids busy for 3+ years. So I think it is incredibly worth the money. The next category here is emotions cards. I had these. We tried using these. They did not go over well with our kids. Save your money. That's my opinion. I consigned them recently, and yeah, the picture cards are just different freeze frames of emotions on a person's face. I think it's a lot more useful to talk about emotions in action. So your child is trying to build something and then they start throwing a tantrum because they get frustrated. So trying to match it to their actual feelings is better. Or you can use picture books. Say, how does that kid look like there? What do you think that kid feels? What does the face look like? So I think that's a better use of your money rather than buying these picture cards, which I used a couple weeks and then gave up on because they were uninspiring. The next section is art. As I said, I did not get any of the expensive kits in here. I knew my son was not artistically inclined. I did not want to spend my money on the more expensive kits. I would just wanted to do the basics. One thing I did get though was this, the Usborne Little Children's Drawing Book. It is fun. So inside, your child has instructions on each page of what to do. So draw spots on the giraffe, draw rain coming down from the clouds. One day, he picked this up from the shelf and just did like half the book on his own, trying to figure out from the pattern what he was doing. He did a lot of fun stuff in here and figured out quickly what he was supposed to do. So he loved this book, really loved this book. But yeah, it was a little bit of a splurge because it is only, I don't know how many pages are in here. I would say 25 pages. So there's not that many scenes, but it is fun while you use it. I'll leave it up to you if you want to buy the expensive art kits. If you have an artistically inclined kid, you might want to go with one and see how much they enjoy it because they are beautiful art kits. With my daughter, I may buy one sometime in the future because they're beautiful. But again, listen to your budget. Just don't buy it because it's in the kit. The last section is learning tools. One thing in the original kit, which they don't have now, and I'm super disappointed about, are quick sticks. I have a short that I just did on them. But quick sticks are tempera paint in basically a glue stick format. So you can screw up or screw down the end. It is quick drying. It is washable. So your child can use tempera paints without the giant mess. And I would say if there's one art supply you need for your toddler, it would be these. They come in a whole lot of different sets. You can find them on Amazon since Timberdoodle doesn't carry them. But yeah, This is a huge favorite that my 4-year-old is still actively using, and we've gotten a lot of mileage out of them. The other art supply is a bag of crayon rocks. So these crayon rocks are softer crayons, so they're easier to draw with than the traditional crayons. They do not break. That's one of the big things I love about them. Plus, they teach the tripod grip because of how you naturally want to hold this. So it is great for that. They also come in a lot of beautiful colors. And this, as I said, I got for my son when he was 2. And as you can see, we still have a lot of mileage out of them. So yes, I definitely prefer these over traditional crayons because they don't break. One thing that was in the original kit, which I don't have anymore, is the Mad Matter. Timberdoodle loves this. They put it in every single kit up into elementary. I hate it for the little kids, and I'll tell you why. It is essentially kinetic sand, but it is fine kinetic sand. So the people who are in love with this say it is a whole lot better than Play-Doh because it doesn't get rubbed into your carpet. I say it's a whole lot worse than Play-Doh because as the glue falls apart, it gets lost into your carpet. It started crumbing a whole lot more. If you have your Play-Doh soft, it's a lot easier to use and pick up. The coarser kinetic sand is easier to manage than the Mad Matter. So I'm sticking with kinetic sand and with Play-Doh. If your kids get older, they might like to use Mad Matter. But it is essentially kinetic sand, so there's not as much molding capability as you can do with Play-Doh. And cleanup wise, I think it's equivalent of Play-Doh with the mess. So I tossed mine because I hated picking it up off the floor. There's a couple other things they have in their current kit. A supply box, which I didn't buy because I bought something cheaper. And then there's silky crayons, which they currently have, which I've not used. I can't tell you how good they are. I would say go with the quick sticks because that would be my preference. That's it, guys. That's everything in the kit. If you do want to check out the Farmland Math, I'll put that review up right here. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments. I'll meet you there.